So let me ask you this question. Why is the university Harvard professor, Claudia Gay, why is she gone? A lot of people probably like seeing that. It's a moving truck. Yep, President Gay is out of here. They're looking forward to the future of Harvard. She's looking back to the past. She was there about 6 months, first African American and first African American lady of Harvard University. And it makes you think, wow, what happened? So when they wanted her to answer some questions, evidently it wasn't enough for her. And right when she left, she put out an op-ed in the New York Times titled Claudia Gay, What Just Happened to Harvard is Bigger Than Me. Bigger than this phone, bigger than my slogan, keeping it simple, keeping it honest, and keeping it real. And so what we're going to do, we had a hard time trying to get this information letter, but we have it. And I like doing things in other people's words from their words. That way you can't question me. So this was an op-ed, and this is what she said. Claudia Gay, what just happened at Harvard is bigger than me. And she put it in the New York Times. So if you know, she's a former president of Harvard University, where she was a professor of government and of African and African American studies. Here's what she says. I made the wrenching but necessary decision to resign as Harvard's president. For weeks, both I and the institution to which I devoted my professional life have been under attack. My character and intelligence have been impeached. My commitment to fighting anti-Semitism has been questioned. My inbox has been flooded with invective, including death threats. I've been called the N-word more times than I care to count. My hope is that by stepping down, I will deny Democrats the opportunity to further weaponize my presidency in their campaign to undermine the ideals animating Harvard since its founding: excellence, openness, independence, truth. As I depart, I must offer a few words of warning. The campaign against me was about more than one university and one leader. This was merely a single skirmish in a broader world to unravel public faith and pillars of American society. Campaigns of this kind often start with attacks on education and expertise, because these are the tools that best equip communities to see through propaganda. But such campaigns don't end there. Trusted institutions of all types, from public health agencies to news organizations, will continue to fall victim to coordinated attempts to undermine their legitimacy and rule their leaders' credibility. For the opportunists driving cynicism about our institutions, no single victory or toppled leader exhausts their zeal. Yes, I made mistakes in my initial response to the atrocities of October 7th. I should have stated more forcefully what all people of good conscience know. Hamas is a terrorist organization that seeks to eradicate the Jewish state. And at a congressional hearing, I fell into a well-laid trap. I neglected to clearly articulate that calls for the genocide of Jewish people are abortive and unacceptable, and that I will use every tool at my disposal to protect students from that kind of hate. Most recently, the attacks have focused on my scholarship. My critics found instances in my academic writings where some material duplicated other scholars' language without proper attribution. I believe all scholars deserve full and appropriate credit for their work. When I learned of these errors, I promptly requested corrections from the journals in which the flag articles were published, consistent with how I have seen similarly faculty cases handled at Harvard. I have never misrepresented my research findings, nor have I ever claimed credit for research of others. Moreover, the citation errors should not obscure a fundamental truth. I proudly stand by my work and its impact on the field. Despite the excessive scrutiny of my peer-reviewed writings, few have commented on the substance of my scholarship, which focuses on the significance of minority office holdings in American politics. My research marshaled concrete evidence to show that when historically marginalized communities gain a meaningful voice in the halls of power, it signals an open door where before many saw only barriers. And that in turn strengthens our democracy. Throughout this work, I asked questions that had not been asked, used then cutting-edge quantitative research methods, and established a new understanding of representation in American politics. This work was published in the nation's top political science journals and spawned important research by other scholars. Never did I imagine needing to defend decades-old and broadly respected research, but the past several weeks have laid waste to truth. Those who have relentlessly campaigned to oust me since the fall often traffic in lies and ad hominem insults, not reasoned argument. They recycled tired racial stereotypes about Black talent and temperament. They pushed a false narrative of indifference and incompetence. It is not lost on me that I make an ideal canvas for projecting every anxiety about the generational and demographic changes unfolding on American campuses. A Black woman selected to lead a storied institution, someone who views diversity as a source of institutional strength and dynamism. Curriculum that spans from the frontier of quantum science to the long neglected history of Asian Americans. Someone who believes that a daughter of Haitian immigrants has something to offer to the nation's oldest university. I still believe that. As I return to teaching and scholarships, I will continue to champion access and opportunity, and I will bring to my work the virtue I discussed in the speech I delivered at my presidential inaugural, courage. Because it is courage that has banned me throughout my career, and it is courage that is needed to stand up to those who seek to undermine what makes universities unique in American life. Having now seen how quickly the truth can become a casualty amid controversy, I urge a broader caution. At tense moments, every one of us must be more skeptical than ever of the loudest and most extreme voices in our culture, however well organized or well connected they might be. Too often they are pursuing self-serving agendas that should be met with more questions and less credibility. College campuses in our country must remain places where students can learn, share, and grow together, not spaces where proxy battles and political grandstanding take root. Universities must remain independent venues where courage and reason unite to advance truth, no matter what forces set against them. Wow. So we could break down this letter in many ways. She apologizes for not talking right in front of Congress and what she should have said. Okay, but not really talking about the plagiarism situation, because from what I gather, there were almost 50 allegations of plagiarism. And we've talked about it. You might have seen one of the segments that we did about plagiarism. And the reason I'm talking about this story is because it's a heavy story. This Hamas war has flipped the world upside down. And if people are talking about it one way, I have to put a Parker twist and talk about it another way. So did you agree on her resignation letter? Again, what just happened at Harvard is bigger than me. But did she make an impact even more on Gaza and students and not keeping them safe, and the funders and the donors? Did she put a gap on African Americans maybe applying to different colleges because they're going to look at her? Did she show people that maybe it's not all about education, but it's about money. And as a journalist, my background is a journalist. I'm not just a person that talks. I see some issue. When you're calling out the media, just make sure that you don't try to twist it, because when we're there covering stories, it's up to you to answer the questions. And sometimes it may be uncomfortable. We're just keeping it simple, keeping it honest, and keeping it real. Claudia Gay. Now, she's not University of Harvard president. She is Claudia Gay, but still working at the University. And as I showed here, moving day was a day that she was gone. But the sad thing is, she had the potential to have a great future. And now, on that potential to have a great future, she's just looking back at it. I hope to have some people from Harvard, the pros and cons of this situation, on the future show to talk about this, because your average person may not know how deep this is. But at the end of the day, we have to look at this. It's a war. And good or bad, people are dying. That's the uncomfortable truth about it.